Alrighty. A minute early. Okay, just making sure stuff is working here. Let me do a test. It is not. Let me fix my chat. Sorry, give me 1 second. Be right back. Well, that's so weird. Why are you? Okay, it's working. I'm about to say. Let me see. Okay. There we go. There we go. It's working. All right, I'm so sorry about that, you guys. Forum, how you doing? How you be? Top to the AV. I swear, I spend more time trying to find a shirt than I do actually preparing. Like I spend like an hour trying to find a shirt. But yeah, it's been very difficult today. It's been a long Wednesday. I hope everybody had a good day at work. Hope everybody was able to have a job or at least find a job. And if not, you can chill here, listen to the smooth stylings of my voice, all squeaky and nasally as it is, and hopefully you can get back on your feet there, listen to maybe a little technical issues, a little technical troubleshooting, and hopefully that will help. Help make me a better engineer, help make you guys a better engineer. I think it'll be best for everybody. Help a lot of people, and make sure everything is doing good. So yeah, hope everybody is doing good today. Hope everybody's having a happy Wednesday. And yeah, let's get started here. So just making sure everything is looking good here. Everything that looks good. Let me close that. Make sure I can see people in the chat. And yeah, let's go ahead and get things going. Alrighty. So have quite a few today. So let's go ahead and switch back here. Alrighty, so let's begin. Alrighty, so I'm sorry, I was just looking at it on this screen here, even though it's like literally right in my face. Alrighty, you guys. So the first one we got today is any Xbox. Oh wow, I can't even pronounce. This is from FVCCI. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that because I'm not even sure there's a vowel in there. There's one, but towards the end. Any Xbox Game Pass game gives me an error. So any Xbox Game Pass game gives me an error. That is very hard to say. Not long ago, I formatted my PC. Not even 2 months ago. Something like this has never happened to me. Now every game I open from the Game Pass tells me I don't have permission. Any solution, I'm desperate. Windows does not have access to the specified device. Yes, I mean I can already tell you what that means. So what that means is when you run into this kind of an issue, and let me reverse there. So when you run into any kind of issue like that is telling you that you don't have permission to access the device, that means that you installed it on a drive or in a location where you don't have permissions for that particular file location. So in this case here, you may have installed it to a drive where you don't have permission set up. So either maybe your login isn't an admin, so you don't have admin privileges to that particular drive path, or maybe you're doing it on your work computer or something like that. You never mentioned if your PC was your work PC. If it's your work PC and it's monitored by an admin, then it's possible that the place where you try to install it on, you don't have access to read and write. The place where you need to install it at has to be a place where you have full read-write privileges. That way the game can update and write to it. So when it's telling you it doesn't have permissions, it means that it doesn't have permissions to read and write. So what you would want to do in this kind of a situation is uninstall and reinstall install into a drive path where you have permission. So I mean, if it takes you putting it in documents or something like that in order for it to actually install, then so be it. So that's what I would recommend for there. That one's pretty easy. There's no real other way around that guy. Well, that took like 4 seconds. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one there. Hope that helps, bro. And another thing with these, currently, I'm new to Reddit. I never used Reddit before, so I have to wait a couple days, or maybe like a week before I can even post on Reddit. So I can't even post replies to this just yet. So I think I'm gonna try to just message them privately and then just let them know of a timestamp of where the stream is at, so they can just look up their answers. That may be a little bit easier, unless of course they get an answer that's quicker from our tech support. So just to give you guys an idea, or just letting people know. Alrighty. So this is a long one here. Let me make sure that is in screen there. Yeah, it is. Okay. Alrighty. My boomer mom clicks every link she sees and won't/can't stop. Any ideas? I have a boomer mom too, but I've never called her a boomer. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, also I'm rocking the Vermilion City Right You shirt today. You know, trying to change it up a little bit here. Generally, I'm in some type of professional wear, but I figured today I had to show support for Right You for some strange reason. As title suggests, my 75-year-old mom cannot comprehend safe internet browsing. And okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. Every time I look up at the chat, it changes my focal view. I apologize. As title suggests, my 75-year-old mom cannot comprehend safe internet browsing and clicks ads on Facebook, URLs and spam emails, any text messages, etc. She's been scammed numerous times, money recovered though, thank goodness, and her computer is a treasure trove of malware and tracking cookies. Rational thinking and conversations are not options here. This is prime boomer, and feedback is and criticism. This is prime boomer, and feedback is criticism no matter how it's presented. Need suggestions to implement on network level to block computer and iPhone traffic to dangerous sites. Is there a DNS service I can use to route her home's internet through to block the dangerous clicks? OpenDNS used to offer a blacklist feature, and not sure who has something similar now. Happy to pay for service. Okay. Well, if you're happy to pay for service, I got some options. I speak tech, know enough about DNS to be dangerous, and can follow guides, but don't know about services in the space. Also, this is an ATT universe, or UVerse, ATT UVerse, and the proprietary gateway network. Okay. Willing to layer a non-ATT device over network if needed, but charging internet providers isn't an option. Oh, wow. But changing internet providers isn't an option. They only have ATT UVerse in their area. Update. Okay, let's just not talk about this part here. Apparently he did for those in similar situations. Okay, we'll just talk about the update first. Thank you everyone for the suggestions and silver award. My first, going to start with NextDNS, increasing Chrome security settings and installing uBlock Origin. Hoping NextDNS will stop some of the crap on our phone. Looking at Pi now too, but that's a later project for those in similar situations. Thank you for sharing and hope this helps. Okay, sorry about that. I didn't see the update there, but we can still talk about it. So that's kind of an interesting situation. So when you have situations like that, when you have parents that just click on random things, it becomes very, very difficult to try to figure out a way to get around it for the cheapest amount of money. Ideally, you know, you could do things that are like, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. So there are ways that you can use like firewalls to create rules based on URLs to basically control where she can go, which basically prevents her from going anywhere else. That's basically kind of the reverse way of doing it. I've seen customers set something like that up before, where they would basically set up their network and say, hey, you can go to here, 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 and here, and they have rules based on the URLs that you can go to. So you can only go to those particular URLs, but you can't go anywhere else. So that way, no matter where you try to go to, it's just going to block you. So you can do it that way, but in this step here, it looks like they told him to try NextDNS, or basically a DNS, and use that software instead. In other words, whenever the computer tries to reach out, in order to go to this particular site, it will actually go to a DNS server, in this case NextDNS, and NextDNS will basically look at that destination IP address and see whether or not that's malicious, and if it is, it won't allow her to go there. So that's a good way of going about it. If there is, there's several DNS services that do that. Now, you could also do something like a Chrome, something like a firewall on the actual computer itself, things of that nature. That's typically how you would handle that situation. You would try to do some type of a firewall that has the ability to block URLs and has the ability to block URLs natively, like you can actually do lookups and learn and things of that nature. So that's typically how you would handle that situation. There are other methods of going about that, but they tend to get more expensive and get onto the commercial side. So we'll keep it on the residential side because it sounds like he's talking about a residential issue because it's his mom. So we'll go about it that way. So glad that worked out for you, bro. We'll see how that goes in the future, but yeah, I have the same problem. I think most people kind of have that situation where they have parents that are not from the internet society and they go and click on stuff and stuff like that. But my mom, she's more of a, I'm just gonna hang up on you if I don't know who you are. So I never really have to worry about it too much, because once she realizes she gets too far, she just turns everything off and runs away and then calls me like 2 days later to take a look at it. So yeah, I'm glad it worked out for you, Snoopy. And I'm not calling him out of his name. That literally is his tag. Snoopy is a cheater. Alrighty, on to the next one. Alrighty, this is a relatively smaller one here. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure it showed up correctly. I can't access my USB. Okay, that's a interesting one. I have a USB stick drive version 3.0 where I installed a live boot OS, but now when I plug it into my computer, it does not show up in File Explorer. I tried Device Manager, but it says no media. I tried adding partitions, but D was not a valid path. I want to format it, but I can't find it. When I plug it in, it shows up for a second, but when I click on it, it shows please insert a driver. What should I do? You didn't install the right version of Windows. That's typically what that means. If it's telling you to install, put in a disk, it may not be the version with the actual bootloader that allows you to actually install Windows from that thumb drive. So that's what I would recommend on that one there. But it sounds like you were trying to install it from the GUI. So if it's telling you to install, it was not a valid path, I would try to rewrite that Windows version onto your thumb drive again, or onto a external hard drive or something like that, or just try another device. You can do that as well. There are a couple of different ways to play it, but you may just literally have the wrong type of Windows install. You may have, there's two different types. There's the operating system type where you can actually run it from the operating system that doesn't have the boot image that'll allow you to boot from BIOS. As the computer's booting up, it'll see it from the thumb drive and then it will go ahead and take you to the Windows prompt. So if you have that version, then you may be in the wrong place, in other words, from the GUI perspective, because it's actually telling you about the D path is not valid. So the fact that it says that the path is not valid makes me think that it doesn't even detect it properly. So I would just say reinstall Windows, maybe try a different device and see how that works for you, or try to reinstall Windows or reformat the drive. There's a couple different ways to play that, but those are really your only options. It's pretty limited when it comes to just a thumb drive. You can re-image, re-download, or download a different version of Windows and see if that fixes it. That's pretty much your only answers there, and see if those work out for you. And that was a quick one. I'm moving way too fast through these. I'm gonna run out of options or questions to troubleshoot today. It's been a relatively light day here. Let me make sure nobody else has asked me any questions. No, nobody has just yet. Alrighty, so admirable, man. I hope that helps for you. I think people have already started commenting as well. So yeah, that one's pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot of options on that. Alrighty, and on to the next one here. So, I'm sorry, let me scroll that down a little bit here. Evening to you, Camden Loans. Windows 11 Wi-Fi disconnects and icon disappears, comes back randomly. Okay. I have a 2021 ROG Zephyrus G14. Ooh, fancy. And every once in a while, my Wi-Fi drops. I look at the bottom right and there's no Wi-Fi icon next to the blue icon, the Bluetooth icon. I search for it in network and internet and it's not there either. I did a full reset on the laptop and it won't come back. I also updated my drivers and still nothing. Wondering if anyone has had Wi-Fi issues like this on Windows 11 and has a cure to the madness. Wow, that sucks. Now he says Windows 11 Wi-Fi disconnects. Okay, so he it looks like he may be under the impression that he may be having the issue with Windows 11. I don't know for sure if that's true, and I apologize there. I think my audio kind of went crazy on me there, but I don't know for sure if that's true there. It seems more like you may be having a hardware issue more so than a software issue, mostly because you don't even see it in network and internet. Now the real question is whether or not you see it in Device Manager. So in this case here, what you would want to do is you would want to go to the Windows logo and then do a search for Device Manager and pull that guy up and then go and see if you see the wireless card there. If you see the wireless card there, then yeah, you may be dealing with like a software issue, which at that point in time you would want to uninstall and reinstall the driver and see if that resolves the issue. But if you don't see it, then you may be dealing with a hardware issue, my friend, in which case, if it's under warranty, which it appears that it is because it's a 2021, then I would go ahead and RMA and try to get them to replace the wireless card on the device and just take care of it that way. Because I mean, worst case scenario, you may have to do a USB wireless dongle, but that's pretty much the worst case. But in this kind of a situation, that's what it seems like here. It seems like it may be more so hardware than software, but it all really depends on what happens in Device Manager. So step 1, go to Device Manager. Step 2, if it shows in Device Manager, then the next thing that you would want to do is reinstall the driver for the software. So the software driver, so it may have a driver that you can get from ROG, so you can actually go to their site, type in the laptop, and then download the most updated version of that particular Wi-Fi driver and see if that resolves the issue. And if it's not there, just let them know, the ROG team, and if it's under warranty, then go ahead and RMA it. If it's not under warranty, then you may have a hardware issue, and it may not be Windows 11's fault. It just may be a straight up hardware issue, and then you just take matters after that. Just buy a little wireless dongle. I think they're like $20 in the US. So that is my take on that. And yeah, so I've had plenty of Wi-Fi issues. I've troubleshot Wi-Fi issues as many times as any other network connectivity issue, particularly mostly Wi-Fi than wired these days, because most people just have portable devices and laptops and whatnot. So Camden, hope that helps, bro. Alrighty, on to the next one here. Okay, this one's maybe longer. Alrighty, this one comes from Ground Peas, Trojan from USB, and God knows what else. Hello everyone, I am really peed off right now. I went to get some documents scanned onto a USB yesterday. I came home and without fear, because I'm an idiot, plugged the darn USB into my PC. I didn't even notice the little notifications in the corner screen screaming at me how there is a severe issue. I was so busy, I went on with my day, leaving my PC on the entire night. I came back a day later today, trying to wind down from a bad day, sorry bro, and play some video games, when I suddenly realized I have horrible lag that I've never had before unless there was some sort of an update. And then I find out my PC stopped a freaking Trojan around the same time I was copying the documents from the USB. I'm currently running a full system scan using Malwarebytes, which is great. That's what I used to do. And I am in fear. What if there is some sort of virus that's not even Malwarebytes can find? What can I do aside from burning the USB and never plugging USBs that touch other people's PCs now that I know USB STDs is a thing? let alone from a copy store. And can I even find out if the Trojan indeed did come from a USB. Here is the protection history link. Yeah, so what can you do in this kind of a situation? Malwarebytes is usually pretty good. That's usually what I would recommend too. I would just do a full system scan using Malwarebytes. Now, be sure you set Malwarebytes to do all drives, because you know we're talking about a thumb drive, so it may just by default go to the C drive and it not even scan the thumb drive. So just be aware that you make it scan all drives. So yeah, Malwarebytes is a good way to go about it. Hopefully you may have had a backup. So if there was a situation, you can kind of restore to a particular restore point. So in this kind of a situation, that's pretty much what you would do in this situation. Like, it looks like you already kind of have it handled here, you know. And yes, that is a thing. You know, the computers at other stores may have those kind of things, and they're a prime place because lots of people plug in devices into those computers. So somebody trying to do something malicious, but just on a lower scale, I can definitely see that happening. So yeah, that's pretty much how you would stop something like that, and you know, try to do it online instead of actually doing it through a thumb drive. But I mean, it happens, but yeah, if you're seeing horrible lag there and then running Malwarebytes, I would just run it multiple times. Me personally, I would run it multiple times and then let it act on anything that it finds, and I would just, you know, run it 3 or 4 times and then kind of just take it from there. So yeah, aside from burning the USB, that's pretty much all you can do. Setting it on fire. No. Aside from running Malwarebytes or some type of antivirus software is pretty much how you would handle that situation. There's not a whole lot more that you can do about it. It looks like you kind of found everything that you needed to find there. So yeah, that's pretty much how you would handle that situation. You pretty much had it handled, bro. Like that's what you would do. So yeah, hope that helps, ground peas. But bro, it looks like you already have it handled. So yeah, there's not a whole lot more you need to do. And can I even find out if the Trojan indeed came from the USB? Yes, you can. So typically Malwarebytes, once it's done with its full system scan, it will tell you what it found. And if it found that the Malwarebytes came from the drive, it'll tell you, because it will be the E/whatever or D/whatever. It'll be a foreign path. It wouldn't be C. Now, if it told you it found something on C and it did not find it on the actual, you know, D or E or something like that, the actual thumb drive itself, then that may be an issue. Now, it is possible that when you plugged in your thumb drive, it got picked up by your antivirus software and it automatically wiped it. So if you said it, because you said it was screaming in the background and you didn't notice it, it's possible that it completely killed it right then and there, and it just quarantined it and you didn't see it. So because you didn't see it, Malwarebytes also didn't see it, so it's not even going to show up as, you know, one of the drive paths because it's already been quarantined. In which case, that is a definite possibility. It could have been that Windows Defender may have picked it up. It could have been that, you know, you may have had some type of antivirus software that may have picked it up. So there's so many different ways to go about it. But if you have any type of antivirus software or Windows Defender, I would go to those devices or those particular softwares and see if they actually saw it. So in order to figure out, you know, if it came from the thumb drive or not, just go to Windows Defender as well as any antivirus software that you have and see where the Trojan came from, because it'll tell you the path of the actual file location, and that's how you would handle that situation. Okay, I'm going way too fast. Let me here, we'll just keep going and then I'll go ahead and create some more once we start getting down, because I'm burning through these way faster than I normally do. Alrighty, let's see. Okay, good. We got a long one. I was starting to get worried. I was like, man, did I not prepare enough for this? Alright. Okay, we'll go like this, and then okay, so only thing that's left after that is just the specs, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay, so this one here is from Codex of Cringe. Good name. Kernel power issue causing a blue screen. Okay. Typically only when I boot Steam. Okay. I'm sorry, I was looking at C4 financial decisions at the bottom. Hi, I had this issue for a while, but it is still persisting, getting very much on my nerves. Sorry to hear that, bro. C4 financial decisions at the bottom. Gotcha. I started recently after I upgraded my PC, his PSU and his GPU. It has never blue screened before. I am getting a consistent kernel power blue screen, but it only tends to happen when I boot Steam. I can load my PC fine, go on other applications, but when I load Steam, I am always signed out and it tends to update. Okay, then shortly after Steam boots, I get a blue screen and an event viewer says it's kernel power. I have tried the basic things like updating my BIOS, completely resetting my PC, updating drivers, etc. Before I put it down to a broken PSU, can someone tell me I'm an idiot and I don't need to buy a new PSU? The Steam thing still gives me doubts about the PSU failed though. Correct. I would say so too. So because the fact that Steam is giving you those and you only have that issue in Steam makes me wonder if so I would actually, on this one here, I would wonder about the way that you have your graphics card hooked up. It could be that your PCIe connectors, that you have PCIe connectors, the 6 pins and the 8 pin or 6+2 that's going into the graphics card. I would try to maybe you may need to replace that cable. It may be one of those kind of situations, or maybe you don't have them plugged in all the way, and maybe one is not plugged in, or maybe one's plugged in and the other one's not. That's probably the main thing I thought about when I was reading this, is that this seems more like not necessarily that you have a bad PSU, but you may have only one of the two 6 to 8 pins that it needs plugged in, or it's not plugged in all the way. So you may want to go ahead and plug those in, because sometimes just only having one of them in, the device may actually power up, but it won't be able to ramp up. So whenever you play games like Steam and stuff like that, it'll just, it'll die from kernel power. So, but the fact that it's showing you the kernel power instead of the NVIDIA NV whatever error makes me think that you may have a power issue. But I would look at that first. So I would basically look at the 6+2 pins that are connected to the graphics card. If you can replace it, go ahead and do so, and plug it into a different port on the power supply and see if that resolves your issue first before you start saying, hey, let's go ahead and try to replace different things. So I would go that route first. So first thing you want to do, try to replace the cable for the 6+2 pins, and then if that does not work and you still have your stuff, I would go ahead and try to swap it to a different PCIe slot, see if that fixes it, and if that does not fix it, then you can start looking at your power supply and seeing if that works, because kernel power can be a few different things. Kernel power can be, that your power supply is not strong enough. Let me actually scroll this up here. Okay, cool. So he had a Ryzen 9 3900X. That's a very good processor there. Gaming Pro Max X470, 16 gigs of RAM, Samsung Evo 860, and some NVMe's. And he bought a 3080, and he bought a 700 watt 80 plus. Well, I mean, yeah, if it's a 3080, then yeah, I would say take a look. The 6+2 pin maybe holds true on that one, and take a look and just make sure that it's not that. It makes me think that it is, just from the way that you're explaining the issue. I mean, 700 watts should be more than enough, even at bronze state. So you shouldn't be having a problem with that. It's a possibility, but it's unlikely. I mean, there's a couple ways you can play it, but it's quicker to just try to do the things that I said earlier, the cable, different slot, stuff like that, than it would be to try to go and get a monitor that can monitor what your wattage is, because I doubt that you would be hitting, I think it's like 525 or something like that, what you would need for 80 plus bronze. So, but it's possible because it is a 3080, but that's pretty up there. So it's a possibility that the power supply itself may be hitting a particular your minimum voltage, but yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. Generally, whenever I run into kernel power issues, it usually has to do with the fact that my power supply isn't strong enough to handle the graphics card. And when that happens, whenever I'm playing a game or something like that, it'll just, go out to kernel power. That's usually what it is. But, you're kind of at that cusp where it's a 700 watt. If you had told me it was 700 watt 80 plus platinum, then I'd be like, nah, you should be fine. But, if it's bronze, it falls in that 500 watt range, which is exactly where you would be with this type of a setup with a 3900X. It doesn't look like you have it overclocked, but you'd probably be somewhere between 400 to 500 watts, maybe a little bit less depending on the situation. And that's the case, then you may be kissing the minimum requirement voltage on that PSU. So that is a definite possibility. So yeah, do everything that I mentioned earlier, and then start taking a look at that power supply. If it's bronze, then get worried that it's a possibility that you may be hitting the minimum there. Whew, okay, that was, man, I am rapid firing here. Just making sure, checking the chat here, making sure nobody had any questions. Nope. Looks like we are good here. So cool. So that is that issue. I hope that helped, bro. Let me scroll back up here. Codex, I hope that helped. Let us know how that goes. And next one up. Alrighty. So this one here, I recently built a new PC with the following parts. Cool. So he has like a part picker. However, issue started when trying to install Windows, as the SSD was not recognized by the BIOS. Recently, I have tried the following: resetting the SSD, updating the motherboard BIOS, disabling fast boot, CSM, and secure boot into other OS. My next attempt will be to try to detect the SSD in disk management and go from there. Does anyone have any suggestions? Yes. SSDs, depending on how big it is, there have been situations where BIOS not be able to handle SSDs depending on how big they are. Like, for example, like if it's like a 6 terabyte, it can only go to 2 in certain situations, where anything else, it would just look at it as more than one partition on one drive. So it's a possibility that it may not be able to read that particular SSD if it's too big. But if you have like a 1 terabyte SSD, then yeah, there should be no problem reading it, and you may be looking at just a faulty SSD. But seeing the fact it's a brand new PC, it's not that big of a deal. I'll try to plug it into a different computer with a USB to SATA. Those guys are pretty cheap there. Just try to plug it in with a USB to SATA to a different computer and see if that resolves your issue. If you don't have a new computer, let me see what this part picker shows here, just make sure it's not anything malicious. Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, so it looks like he has a 980 Pro 1 terabyte M.2 NVMe. So that's nothing. Like not necessarily saying it's nothing like it's bad. I mean, that's nothing as in it's only 1 terabyte. So yeah, it doesn't seem like that would be a problem here. So that makes me start to wonder if you may be having issues with the BIOS, but you already updated the motherboard BIOS, so you may just have a faulty NVMe, my friend. The fact that it's not seeing it when trying to install Windows, and the SSD is not recognized in the BIOS. So yeah, if it's not recognized, then it's a possibility that the NVMe may not be considered as a boot drive, but let me see here. Okay, so this is, okay, I just wanted to see what kind of processor, what this was. So this is a relatively new kit. So I mean, obviously that a new kit shouldn't have any problems recognizing an NVMe. So, unless you may have changed the settings from AHCI to RAID, in which case it's trying to establish a RAID array, that can make a problem. So I would say check that in the BIOS, but if not, then you may be wanting to look for replacing the NVMe or plugging it into something else and seeing if that resolves the issue. The NVMe I'm referring to. So, but I mean, seeing the fact this is a new build, I would just go ahead and RMA the NVMe and get a new one and see if that resolves the issue. So yeah, that one's pretty easy too. That's how I would handle that one, bro. There's not a whole lot more that you can do on that, but in disk management and go for this one suggestion outside of this, my tip would be to try to detect the SSD out in disk management and go from there. Yeah. So yeah, you were on the right track as well. So there's not a whole lot more to say about this guy. That's what I would do in this particular situation too. Alrighty, because we're running out of stuff, let me go ahead and grab some things. Okay. That sounds interesting. All right. So that's exactly how I pick stuff, man. I just kind of look through stuff and just start clicking. Like, I don't even care what the issue is at this point. I just click on random stuff. So can't uninstall Spotify. Alrighty, so on this one here, it says, out of nowhere, Spotify, I'll just make sure I was still streaming. Out of nowhere, Spotify just disappeared from my taskbar. I tried opening, but it did not work. The logical thing to do was to uninstall and reinstall, but Spotify isn't showing up in control panel and in the apps and features settings, Windows 10. I already deleted Spotify from app data, but whenever I try to reinstall it, I get a message that says a Windows Store installation of Spotify was found in your system. Please uninstall that version or update through the Windows Store. The thing is, Spotify isn't showing up in the Microsoft Store either. I also tried downloading Spotify through Microsoft Store, but it doesn't work either. Any help would be appreciated. Oh yeah, I've run into this situation as well, especially when you download something from the Windows Store and you try to uninstall it. So basically there's going to be another path somewhere where it's still installed, and the only way to get through that is to basically Google like Spotify paths, drive paths, and then go to those drive paths and registries and remove it. That's going to be your only option in order to actually resolve this issue. Like, I've had this happen multiple times with software from different companies that get installed in customers' environments, and you get situations like this where you go into the registry and you may delete it, or you try to uninstall it and it doesn't fully uninstall, and because of that it won't let you install the newer version because it still detects it. The reason what it's still detecting is because it's still located somewhere in your registry. So you just have to figure out the path of where it's at in your registry. But the only way to know that is to Google Spotify's registries and then go to all those locations and then remove it from there. That's the only way that'll make that go away. But that's what it's referring to. So what you would want to do there is you want to just do a search for the registries that are utilized by Spotify, and then just go from there, and then just go ahead and just remove those, and then it should allow you to reinstall Spotify, and that should take care of your issue. So that's what you would do here. There's no real other way around that guy. You would just have to hunt them down, but they're in registry somewhere. You just got to find them. Alrighty, Robbie, hope that helps, bro. It looks like everybody else probably had the same idea. So, you got 15 comments, so most people probably had the exact same knowledge or idea on that one. Alrighty, we got a long one here. Shutting down while gaming. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't an issue that I've already worked before. I don't think so. This looks new. PC sometimes shutting down while gaming. Okay. Cool. Hello guys, I am truly at a loss, and I have lost more than 2,000 euro. I think that's euro. If it's not, I so apologize. Trying to have a working PC, but I must just be the unluckiest guy on earth. Last year I used to have some problems with my old build. Games would constantly crash, and I figured it must have been some hardware problem. Unable to figure out which specific component it was, I just switched everything. Case included, aside from the PSU, everything went fine for a while. Now my PC started to reboot itself while gaming. Okay. I could be playing by 15 minutes and it could happen. Some other times I might play for 3 hours straight with no problems whatsoever. This only happens while gaming. So I thought it could be temperatures, which is what I would originally thought too. But heck no. GPU goes max 75 degrees Celsius and CPU is always below 60 degrees Celsius. At a loss, I decided to change PSUs. I spent another 100 euros on a brand new PSU and installed it, and everything seemed fine for a day. Then it did it again, but this time differently. Since I've changed the PSU, my PC goes completely black screen, but everything, fans and LEDs are still on. If you look at the case, it would look like the PC was going just fine. Although the red CPU light on the motherboard appears, when this happens, I cannot even restart the PC by long pressing the power button. I have to unplug the PSU altogether. It sounds like you have a graphics issue, my friend, but what you would want to do on this guy, the very first thing is go to Event Viewer. Like, Jesus, man. Event Viewer would have solved your problem a long time ago. So what you would want to do is go to Event Viewer and hardware and see exactly where your issues are coming from, because you just did it. This is the equivalent of a person having an internet issue and you just wiping everything. Just everything. You don't even know where the issue is coming from, and just completely wiping everything, and then when the issue comes back up, you're going to have the same problem and you're going to try to wipe everything. So it sucks that that you've had to spend so much money on it, but the first thing I would do, I would go to Event Viewer and see exactly where that error is coming from. That way you know exactly what you're looking for, because right now you're just trying to find a needle in a haystack and you're just kind of going through every component and just blasting everything away. But the fact that it's working, it only happens in games and it happens after a certain amount of time and it's not temperature, makes me think that you may be having an issue with your graphics card. And it may be that your graphics card may need to update, something along those lines, or maybe there is an issue with the PCIe slot the graphics card is plugged into. So similar to that other issue, you would want to try to swap to a different PCIe slot altogether and see if that fixes the issue, and if that gets you working. Or because you mentioned several different things here, you can also try integrated graphics. I don't know if you list your... Oh yeah, you do. Okay, so no integrated graphics here. So, and it's a 6900 XT, which is a great card. I love that card. I have it. So yeah, with this one here, because it is a Ryzen, you can't exactly switch to integrated graphics here, but I would try a different slot. The 6900 XT can be trippy though. I've had situations where it's messed up on me in different slots and not show screens and pictures, like particularly when it comes to adding other monitors and gaming as well. So 6900 XT just be like that sometimes. That's my answer for you. The 6900 XT just be like that sometimes. It really do though. Sometimes they can really trip out on you when it comes to monitors and gaming and stuff like that. But in this case here, yeah, I would go to Event Viewer to see exactly where your issue's coming from. I would try to look for updates for the graphics. Do a graphics card update to make sure that it's on the most up-to-date graphics. Try a different PCIe slot for the 6900 XT. Hopefully there's another slot that you can try it in to see if that fits, to see if that works and it fits, and it doesn't, you know, hit something else. So I would try that. I think the B450 Tomahawk does have another PCIe slot, so you should be fine on that. So just try that, let us know how that works, and that's pretty much how I would handle that. You know, hopefully that resolves the issue, but that's what you would need to do, bro. You got to go to Event Viewer. You got to quit playing games with this, because all you're going to do is just mess around and keep spending more money, and I don't want that for you. I want you to be able to, you know, find the issue and then take it from there. So when you guys have problems in situations like this, where it could be any device, you know, because I mean, it just goes out and you don't know exactly where it's coming from, the first thing you want to do is go to Event Viewer and go to hardware and see exactly why it crashed. It'll tell you all the different errors. Now, of course, there's a possibility that it may not tell you exactly why it crashed when you start looking up all the errors, but it'll at least point you in the right direction. Like, for example, the other guy showed kernel power, and it kept showing him kernel power, so that means this issue has something to do with power utilization. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the power supply, but it's power utilization, which means that it could be the graphics card utilizing too much power and hitting the minimum and killing the power, or it could be the power supply, or it can be a cable, or it can be anything in that situation, but at least it points you in the right direction, so you're not just like looking at RAM or CPU or the motherboard or the case, you know, you know, and crazy stuff like that. You're not just going all over the planet. So that's what I would recommend there, for you there, good sir, and I hope that helps. Oyster boy, I hope that helps. I've actually never had oysters before. I'm kind of terrified to eat them, so I don't know. I think I may one day, but I have yet to try oysters. Alrighty, that is him. Let me see if we got some more here. If your password is involved. Need help. Oh, with home streaming. Home streaming. I haven't done a home streaming issue in a long time. Let's see how my knowledge is. Okay. Need help with in-home streaming. Let me scroll this up so everybody can see. There we go. Alrighty. And let me make sure nobody has asked me any questions. No. Okay. Need help with in-home streaming and wake on LAN sleep issues. Hey guys, so I want to host my PC only for gaming. I want it to go to sleep when I am not gaming. Okay. I set automatic go to sleep after 1 minute and it works, but it wakes up randomly. I already configured that it's because of my network card, and I disabled it from being able to wake the PC, but the whole point is to actually wake the host on demand from the client via the app, which it does work, of course, if the network card wakes up from sleep is disabled. Is there any solution to this? Which it does work, of course, if the network card wakes up from sleep. Okay. Hold on, let me make sure I reread that again. That was an interesting one. I already figured that it's because of the network card, and I disabled it from being able to wake the PC, but the whole point is to actually wake the host on demand from the client via the app with in-home streaming and wake on LAN sleep issues. Well, use my host PC only for gaming, and I want it to go to sleep when I am not gaming. But you say home streaming. Okay, so you want to use your computer as a home streaming source for when you play video games, but you want it to be asleep whenever you're not using it. Well, in these kind of situations, whenever I try to set up things for like home streaming and home streaming servers, and well, that's exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to turn your PC into a streaming server. And if that's the case there, I actually leave it on. I never turn it off, because when you turn it off, there's a possibility that you may have issues and troubles connecting to it, like in this case here. So yeah, you're trying to access it because of the network card and the wake on LAN and sleep, but yeah, that's pretty much needed so that you can reach it from a long distance. Otherwise, it may not be able to respond to the first packets of you trying to reach out to it. So yeah, with this one here, I'm not so sure what you're trying to do is worth it, because unless your PC is utilizing a ton of power, I really just don't see the point. I would just leave the guy on, me personally, and the network card on, and just call it at that. Now, if it wakes up, it wakes up, but I don't really see that utilizing so much power that it's a negative on this kind of a situation, because you need it. You want it to have that ability so that you can log into it from wherever you are, via VPN or whatever. So yeah, with that one there, is there a way to kind of get around it? I don't. Like, even on servers, like, so let's say this was a server. Even if it was a server, you don't want to disable the network sleep. Like, you want to leave that guy on. You want to leave it on 24/7. It's like you want it to be a server and you don't want it to be a server at the same time. If it's going to be a gaming server, then let it be a gaming server and let it stay on for at least the networking card. If the computer decides to go to sleep and the network card wakes it up, then the network card wakes it up, because I would rather network card wake it up and it keeps the IP address and it keeps staying connected than it to lose connectivity or having issues with connectivity, and then you try to reach it and you can't. So yeah, it's it's kind of hard to say, on something like that. It may be possible that you may, if you had a network card that isn't a part of the motherboard, like if you had like a network card that's like a USB network card or something like that, because that is software, you might be able to set that up so that it may be able to sleep from the actual software of whatever you buy. Like, for example, if you buy a USB to Ethernet dongle or a USB to Ethernet connector that may have its own software, you might be able to set up sleep timers based on the software. So you may have to take it a different way and use somebody else's third-party software in order to get it to sleep properly. But that's the only thing I can really think of, man. It's just, you're kind of trying to teeter on that area between server and residential, or server PC and a residential PC, but you need the network card in order for you to reach it from a remote session anyway. So the fact that it wakes up the computer is no never mind, because it's gonna happen. You want it to wake up the computer, but only, I get what you're wanting to do. You want it to only wake up whenever you're wanting to use it, but it may be one of those situations where it may not respond to those packets because it's sleep. And so, you try to ping out and it is sleep and it's not responding to those packets because you turned off, the wake timer for the network card, and now the network card is asleep and is no longer responding to those IPs, even though it still has that IP address. It's not doing anything with it, because it has at least for, I don't know, forever when it comes to residential home IPs. So yeah, bro, that's a tough one. You're kind of in that in-between area. So I kind of gave you an in-between answer. So hopefully that helps, but that's really the only thing I can think of. If anybody else has anything better, then feel free to go to this guy's post and let him know. Alrighty, what time is it here? Okay, cool, we got time for a few more. Alrighty, I want to know why my computer is so slow, if I can make it faster. Oh, that's a nice one. That sounds like a good one. Ooh, that sounds interesting. And okay, let me scroll this one up. Alrighty, let me see what we got here. Just making sure nobody has asked me any questions. No, they have not. Okay. I want to know why my computer is so slow and if I can make it faster. Not a computer person. Oh my goodness. So throughout my career, I have had so many questions about how to make things faster. Like for example, if I was in an internet setting, they wanted to make their internet faster. And those usually be the worst calls because you'll spend hours with that person just to try to make their internet faster, but their internet may only be down, maybe off by like, a megabit per second. Like if they have like 8 megabits per second and then we're only getting 7 at the time. I'm kind of dating myself saying 8 megabits per second, but in that situation, that's not really that big of a deal. That's kind of within tolerance because obviously they don't have like a direct line to them, but those are typically going to be your most complicated issue. So if anybody says slow or fast, it's going to be a long day. So I'm just getting everybody prepared. I used an Ethernet cable with 1 gig speed. Okay. All right. So an Ethernet cable with 1 gig speed is far and away enough to handle the speeds of most people's internet. So, because most people is running their internet at 1 gigabit per second or less. So like, 100 megabits per second, 200 megabits per second, things of that nature. But a 1 gigabit speed on an Ethernet link, it's not going to fully saturate that link ever. I use an Ethernet cable with 1 gigabit speed. Processor is a 4790. I have that processor is what I was thinking about. That's why I got so excited and then I mispronounced it for 20 minutes. I apologize. He has a 4790 and then 16 gigs of RAM and a 1050 Ti. Games usually download at 200 to 700 kilobits per second and play at low to medium quality, which is very normal for a 1050 Ti. I don't know if I just need better things. I don't know if I just need more of the things or if I can do something to make it faster. I was at least hoping it'd be a little bit better than what it is now. If more info is needed, let me know. Well, what is your issue? Is it that it's downloading slow or is that games are slow? Because low to medium quality is pretty normal for a 1050 Ti. That's a very, very normal performance. I mean, generally you can probably get medium, but I mean we're talking about a 4790. That's a 4th-generation CPU. Like that guy is, it got some years on it for sure. But a 1050 Ti is a pretty good card. Now 200 to 700 kilobits per second. Let's try to we'll go internet first and then we'll go back to graphics. That way we'll kind of cover both of them in case one person didn't cover one or one person didn't cover the other. So if he's only getting 200 700 kilobits per second, well then what is his internet speed? It's rare that you run into a customer whose internet speed is 1 megabit per second. That's very, very rare unless we're talking about he uses his phone service. It's a possibility. I'm not trying to judge anybody or anything like that. So it's a possibility that he maybe actually only have 1 megabit per second download speed. So if that's the case, then you being somewhere between 200 to 700 is well within the range there of a 1 megabit per second download link. It really kind of depends on the situation. But if you have something that's higher than that and you're not even close, then it makes me wonder whether or not your device is hooked up wired or wirelessly. It could be that your device is really far away and you may want to hook up wired in order to get a better signal for downloading your games, if we're only talking about download speeds, because you mentioned that first. So if you mentioned that first, that's the first thing I would check. And if you're not getting your speeds, bro, if it's cable, then I will look for a splitter. If it's like broadband, then I will call the service and have them take a look at the line and make sure there's no degradation there on the line itself, and then kind of take it from there. If your speeds are not even close to what they're supposed to be. Like for example, if you said, I'm getting 700 kilobits per second and I have, 20 meg down, then you definitely need to call and have somebody take a look at it outside you making sure that you're not wired or wireless. Because if it's wireless and you call somebody out and they find that the issue is because you're connected wirelessly, then they're going to charge you. So and I don't want that for you. So if it is wireless, I would definitely recommend that you hook that up first, hook it up wired, see if that works, and then take it from there. Now, if we're talking about the graphics card, 1050 Ti can handle most games at 1080p at low to medium settings. That is very, very normal. So, if you're talking about why is my graphics so slow, you know, 1050 Ti, that's exactly what it can handle. You know, you can probably go like 1060 or something like that, but you know, because I mean, you might be able to get one on the cheap, is what I'm getting at. I may have one to sell you, the way Bitcoin has been going lately. But you know, if the 1050 Ti is a good card, but I mean, it's gonna be at that level, you know, low to medium, depending on what kind of game it is, and it has a 407090. But the 407090 isn't necessarily a bottleneck in this situation. You can pretty much go pretty high on that guy and not have any problems. Like I didn't. Like I ran a 407090 for forever. Like I still have it. Like I think it's on my mother's computer, and she has I think she has a 1060 actually. So yeah, I mean I still have that build. Like it's nothing, bro. Like I use that all the time. So I don't see you having a problem with it. You know, if you're saying that it's just too slow, then you may want to start looking to upgrade. But if your slow has to do with internet, then we already explained it. If your slowness has to do with graphics, we already explained it. Now, the last thing is, if you're talking about your computer is overall slow, then you may be wanting to upgrade into an SSD. And the 407090s, that is right at the time where they kind of started to transition to everything being SSDs. No NVMe slot, just SSDs in this particular situation, because that's what mine has. So it may be that you may have hard drive or a hard drive instead of an SSD, in which case the best option for you would be to migrate to an SSD, which will make everything fast. You know, obviously it won't increase the internet download speeds or increase your game performance when it comes to medium quality or low quality. However, your overall feel of the computer would actually increase. So I would definitely look at that, because more than likely, if you're talking about 4700 series processors, then that's a pretty good chance that you also have a hard drive. Now, you did mention that you have 16 gigabytes of RAM, so it's probably unlikely, but you never mentioned the drive, so that's what I would check first. Woo, okay, let's see here. What time is it? 8:56. Oh, let's see if we can get another one. Let's see if we can get another one. I'm feeling good today. I done like 20 of these. Oh, router. Okay, cool. Let's get a networking. I'm good. Let's do this. I'm ready. Is that I think I may have gone to the wrong thing. Let me go back and go here, and then go here, and then go here, and then go here. There we go. Okay, let's get this networking again, guys. This is gonna be the last one. I'm starting to get sore. But I think you know, just talking about these, I think we're starting to have some breakthroughs on a lot of them. We kind of rapid fire through like 10 different issues, so I'm starting getting proud of myself. Alrighty, so last one here is going to be from Sassy Nancy 13. Sassy Nancy writes, router keeps detecting attacks. Hi, so I'm not tech savvy at all. I just know what Google tells me. Understandable. So today my internet connection got kind of bad on my Xbox. It's wired. So got inside my router and saw that it is detecting a lot of firewall DOS attacks. TCP port scan source, some numbers, and firewall dropped this packet for PSD. I was thinking, okay, for PSD, and I have zero idea what it is. I know what DOS is, but my internet just gets slow rarely, and sometimes there's signal but not internet. Okay, signal but not internet, which signal but not internet means that, you know, it looks like everything is connected but you can't get out to the internet. There's signal but not internet, but only a phone, usually mine or my sister's, but works perfectly on other devices. Also, if I'm getting attacked, how? Like, as far as I know, they need my IP to send a DOS, right? Public IP. I play Destiny 2, but as far as I know, it has DOS protection. Same with Halo Master Chief Collection. It's crazy that I know that. So I don't know what is happening. If anyone could help me, I would be super grateful. I'm extremely ignorant about tech, so please don't get mad at me. I would never get mad at you about something like that. You were talking about DOS like that. That's marriage material. Like, just tell me where to send the ring. Like, nobody would ever get mad at you for talking about DOS or, you know, Destiny, and like that's perfect gamer material right there. So I'm extremely ignorant about tech, so please don't get mad at me if I'm just misunderstanding things. Thanks. No, your router keeps detecting attacks. let me go through this one more time just to make sure I didn't miss anything. So internet connection got kind of bad, but his Xbox, which is wired, and the internet got kind of bad. So got inside my router and saw that it was detecting a lot of firewall DOS attacks. TCP port scan source some numbers, and firewall dropped this packet for block. And I have zero idea. So typically, the fact that you were saying firewall makes me think that you truly have a firewall. And if that's the case, then it doing that's normal procedure. If it's seeing something, then yeah, it's gonna drop it. And typically firewalls drop TCP port scans anyway. It may be that, because they're trying to scan the firewall for a port, so they basically do what's called a gratuitous ARP to the firewall, which it's not going to respond to. A firewall's not going to respond to darn near anything. Yes, it won't respond to a ping. In most situations, it won't even let ping through. So some firewalls just won't allow you to talk to them like that. Obviously you'll be able to reach it from the management and stuff like that, but a firewall doing that's just normal procedure for a firewall. And then firewall dropped this packet. Firewalls drop packets. That's what they do. Now, not necessarily drop packets just to drop packets, but drop packets for reasons. That's a firewall behaving like a firewall. This is normal procedure, and it makes it sound like you really do have a firewall. So if that's the case, that's not really any type of an issue per se. And so like if you're saying like, hey, I'm having a DOS attack or something like that, it is possible to have a DOS attack, from your public IP address, because they're just hitting your public IP address multiple times from different locations. So it is definitely possible to have a DOS attack, but it's rare that you would have it on the residential side unless you pulled an IP address that belonged to the commercial. So if that's the case, then if your IP address is dynamic, then you can try to turn off your modem for about, I would say about maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But I would just give it 30 minutes. Just turn off your modem and your internet. Just turn off the modem itself and then plug it back in. More than likely, you will not get the same IP address, and that will definitely take care of it if there is really a DOS attack, because it will change your IP address. And that's the best way I would handle that situation. Now if you have a static IP address, because you start talking about firewall. If you have a static IP address, then that's going to be a little bit different, and they may be just straight up attacking you. But it doesn't sound like your firewall actually did something bad. It sounded like your firewall just blocked a DOS attack. So if it did, then that's just the firewall behaving as the firewall. So that's kind of how I would handle that situation. So it doesn't really sound like your firewall is doing something that it shouldn't be doing. All the things that you're talking about is something that a firewall would have dropped anyway. Now of course most firewalls are not great at handling DOS attacks, just because of the way it comes at the firewall. But the just normal drops and stuff like that, it looks like it's just kind of behaving as a firewall, which is definitely normal there. But yeah, I would definitely, it sounds like you're kind of teetering between residential and commercial. So because you're saying firewall, but you're also talking about like residential stuff like gaming and stuff like that, then I would definitely recommend just changing your IP address. That's what I would do. I would literally just turn it off for 30 minutes and then turn it back on. You'll have a different IP address. The best way to find this out is to go to what's called IP Chicken, and just like Google IP Chicken, get your public IP address, and once you have your public IP address, then turn off your modem. Give it about good 30 minutes or so, and then turn it back on. It should pull a different IP address, and then you should be good for a while, and see if that actually resolves your issue. It may just literally be that you have an IP address that was used by the commercial pool. So basically, the way these companies work is their IP addresses are either commercial or residential, and sometimes they have IP addresses that may be moving from pool to pool. So if that IP address isn't being utilized by somebody from the commercial pool, it can go into the residential pool and you can pull it. So in this kind of a situation here, you may have pulled an IP address that may have been used commercially, in which case it may have been attacked by DDoS and stuff like that. So it may not be somebody that's trying to attack you specifically. They may just be attracted to that particular IP address because they've already tried to attack it before in the past. So it may be one of those situations. So you may not even need to take it personally. Change your IP address. Now, if they attack you after you change your IP address, now you got something going on. So that's when you need to really kind of look into it. But your firewall sounds like it's just behaving like a firewall. Alrighty there. That was a great change of pace. That was awesome. We went from gaming to Wi-Fi, and then we hit the networking at the end. That was awesome. So Whew, that's gonna end it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and like button. If you really like it, go and subscribe. I love you either way. Take care, all the best, and bye.